Welcome to Goats the Metaverse, the only weekly show that goes deep into the world of collectibles and NFTs. And I'm here with my man, Stan. How are you, Stanley?
Living the dream, brother. How are you?
Everything's going up in NFT land, so I can't complain.
Tell us what we're going to learn. Tell us what we're going to talk about today, Yossi. Let's get everybody excited.
Hey everybody, we are bringing back our man Drew Austin. If you haven't listened to one of our first shows he was on, he has got some big news from the Zed Run world. He's going to be talking about Zed's latest capital raise, their Series A with some big names, which he was involved in, a particular horse that he acquired off the open market, the number 3 minted Zed Run horse, the 3rd horse ever minted, why he bought that horse and why he thinks he got it at a steal. And we're going to be going into the latest drops and how we look at NFTs, which ones we buy, and why we decide to go in or not. So it's an exciting show, jam-packed, lots to learn, lots to cover. And before we do that, I need to remind everyone about, what is it about, Stan?
Before we do that, we got to remind everybody that Yossi's wearing the coolest hat in the world right now.
Goats only. How many of these? There's only 16 out of 25. So I've got the 16th minted hat here from my good man Dan. Only 25 that exist. How does someone get one of these hats, Stanley?
Oh, there's one in the Goat Vault. We threw it in the vault a few weeks ago. So you got to subscribe to the show. And you subscribe to the show, what happens? We're opening up the vault once we hit 5,000 subscribers and giving away free NFTs, free sports cards, and now a hat.
What is our vault sitting on?
Say that again, bud.
What's our vault sitting on this week?
Oh, I don't know. What's our vault at? $3,680 total prize pool. Our vault keeps going up and up and up. And I know we added some new things into the vault.
What do we
add? Pudgy penguin. Look at that. I don't know what that's an egg. And the reason it's an egg is because the artwork has not been released yet. We minted this before the artwork is released. For now, you get an egg. Next week, tune in to see what the pudgy penguin actually looks like. And we are in the process of adding more NFTs into the Goat Vault. So what do you need to do in order to win some free NFTs, some sports cards, a hat? Tell them, Yossi.
All you got to do, subscribe to our channel on YouTube, click the subscribe button, share it with friends. When we get to 5,000 subscribers, we are going to be opening up the vault. A reminder, we're investing $10,000 into new NFT projects and collectibles that will be made available to our community once we hit 5,000 subscribers. So just subscribe and you're part of the vault.
And just so you guys understand, that's $10,000 of our own money that we're investing into this. Some of these NFTs, as you could see, are going up in value already and are going to continue to increase in value. So that $10,000 might be worth $100,000 or maybe a lot more. The only way to really know and find out is be a subscriber and win your free stuff.
I mean, these things are rare. For example, the chickens that we have in the vault came out of the game Chicken Derby. It sold out in 10 minutes. There's a total supply of 33,333 chickens that are ever going to be a part of those Genesis chicken launch. It's part of a game, and the game's going to go live in about 2 to 3 months. But the fact that it sold out so quickly means people are excited. It's similar to Zed Run, and we've seen what's happened in that community. We think Chicken Derby has the potential to do that as well. Who knows what these little chicks are going to be worth, but we're pretty bullish on where it's going to go on from here. Let's move on to the market movers. What's happened in the market this past week?
Market is absolutely on fire once again. As we could see, Axie is still on top, making big moves.
$153 million in sales over the past 7 days on the Axie Infinity World and Network. Those are big numbers. I read somewhere that in the past 30 days, Axie has surpassed Bitcoin and Ethereum in revenue generated for a play-to-earn game or a free-to-play game. That is insane.
Insane. It is absolutely insane. $153 million. Think about that. So if you're sitting at home what are you doing? As soon as you finish watching the show, Google, how do I learn how to play Axie? Maybe that's a show idea right there that we might have to work on in the very near future, Yossi.
And I think we will. And maybe you got to join our friend that we had on the show, Gabby, with from YGG, Yield Guild Games, where they offer scholarships for people to be able to play, learn, without even having to buy their own assets. And they get 70% of the revenue that they generate in the game. And they had a release today. We'll tell you about it on their token sale and how that went. But other big movers in the market movers. Good to see our friends at Zed Run back up. 70% increase over the past 70 days, $5 million. Zed coming back strong, horses back into the name of the game. And I think what we're seeing is movement, not only just these avatar collectibles, which we're seeing new ones every single day entering the market. We're also seeing people saying, hold on, I want to go into things that have utility that I can use, that I can put into a game that has a whole bunch more to it than maybe just changing an avatar.
Yeah, and we're seeing the same thing in the art community as well. Art Blocks is once again number 2, right behind Axie. We're seeing that continue to go up. There was a Fidenza that sold for 100 ETH. That is worth about $200,000+. And there was a Squiggly that sold for 90 ETH. So for those of you that are watching the show live, are going to be watching the show, this is the 2 items that sold for $180,000+ and $200,000. This is the magical artwork. And I will still continue to say I don't get the art part of it. But for the art collectors, they obviously do understand and are continuing to invest heavily into the community. I spoke to a great friend of mine today who said, moving away from avatars, moving heavily into art. And I think we're going to see a lot more of that in the nearest future.
I think what we're seeing is generative art is now being acknowledged and recognized as a true art form, a true digital native art form where you can write code. That code can integrate with other pieces of code and generate a unique piece of art just from that line of code. And every single one is unique. It's not like it's a piece of code that generated this artwork and then another piece of code for that artwork. It's one piece of code that algorithmically creates all of these new generative art pieces, and people are starting to appreciate it, collect it, and seeing this as the future of art.
You say it so eloquently, like now I just want to go and buy art. Like you
Well, there's a new drop that happened today. We will tell you about later. Not on the Art Blocks platform, but got a lot of attention, sold out, and we'll tell you more about that when we get to it.
And then also another mover on that list was Stoner Cats, which was another very interesting project speared by Mila Kunis and Ashton Kutcher, who are celebrities and are married. And why was this project interesting? There's a few different reasons why it was interesting. Tell us about it, Yossi.
Well, the characters that are being minted, I think there were about 13,000 Stoner Cats, a little bit more than that, that will be minted. And the characters, 10 of them are characters in the show. And they're using the funding that was raised to produce short animated shows like you see on the video here. The voices of the characters, Vitalik Buterin is one of them. So the Ethereum OG himself is a Stoner Cat. He is one of the voice artists. They've got Chris Rock, Jane Fonda, Seth MacFarlane, and as you mentioned, Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis as the voices. So there's a lot of hype and excitement around, are these cats going to be, worldwide sensations? Could you own one of the first ones? And what does it mean to be part of this community? There was also a lot of skepticism and a lot of concern around the drop. Some people calling it a celebrity cash grab. They were selling for 0.35 ETH. That's about $800 an NFT. That's a high price for a new drop. $10 million in sales is roughly what they would generate out of that. And you don't really get anything with it other than a cool looking Stoner Cat. There's no kind of real membership club. There's no rights. There's no IP. And people are criticizing that part of the project, saying, well, we're giving you $10 million to produce a show. We're not getting much in return for that. What do you think, Stan?
I mean, on one side of it, I agree with that, but on the other side of it, it's another way of artists innovating. They're using the platform, NFTs as a way for them to crowdsource money, and they're saying, look, the more of these cats you purchase, the more of these shows we're going to produce, right? So you become a producer in a show with Mila Kunis, Chris Rock, Ashton Kutcher. Those are big names, and it's costing you $800, right? So if you are a millionaire and you wanted to invest into producing a show with these types of celebrities, they're not necessarily picking up your phone and saying, yeah, I want to learn more about your producing skills. It's hard to get in the room with those types of guys. So the fact that you could become a producer for $800, it makes sense to me, right? And you're part of this project. You're part of this community now. And what's to say that, there might be some sort of utility that comes out of it down the line. And I think that's the beautiful world of NFTs. You never know. And you won't really know how successful projects are until way down the line of, are they still here, 6 months, a year, 3 years, 5 years from now, or do we forget about them 3 weeks later? And obviously we talk about it daily that a lot of people will not be here in a short period of time. But the people that are going to be here are the innovators, are the ones that are going to continue to evolve and create and just, blow about everybody out of the water. So I'm curious to see, but tell us about the gas fees. What happened with the gas fees? I know there was a lot of controversy on that as well.
So what happens, and for those of you that don't know, every time you do a transaction on the Ethereum network, you pay what's called gas. And there's almost like an auction. The more you pay in gas, the higher priority your transaction gets in the queue to be able to be processed. And you can leave it to the wallet that you're using to specify how much gas you're going to pay, or you can front load your gas so that you make sure that your transaction happens. And depending on how well the contract's written and everything that goes into it, it determines how much that gas fee should be to execute on that particular transaction. And what we saw with Stoner Cats is that gas fees shot up drastically. People were very upset that they spent quite a lot of money putting in their bids to buy these Stoner Cats. High gas fees at that point in time. Ethereum's trading at just over $2,300 per ETH. So the gas fee is related to ETH in terms of its price. And if the transaction fails, you lose that gas fee. You lose that money. And we had some people, I saw one person paid 5.8 ETH. That's over $10,000 to try and secure a cat and lost out. They spent over $10,000 and got nothing. Now that's got to burn, that's got to hurt. So over 300 ETH was lost just in gas fees trying to get into these cats. And we're seeing, go ahead.
No, I was going to say that, and this is kind of why some of the strategies in buying these NFTs are waiting until they're minted and then buying them on the secondary market, waiting to see if they drop in price, because you don't necessarily have to go spend all those gas fees once the project's getting minted, and you might actually be able to buy that project cheaper. But obviously you're taking the risk of, what is that floor price going to be on the secondary market?
Exactly. I tried to mint them. I had some failed transactions. I didn't manage to get any. I paid some gas for the privilege of nothing. And we're seeing that happen with a lot of drops, especially the bigger hype drops. The Ethereum network is struggling to keep up with all of the attention that's coming onto it. And the same thing happened when CryptoKitties was released originally in, I think it was late 2017 or early 2018. It broke the Ethereum blockchain, and today Ethereum didn't break, but gas fees were very, very high in order to mint these Stoner Cats.
Okay. And now to switch gears very quickly, there's also another very big event happening today in the collectible space. We have the National, which is in Chicago. It's the biggest sports and trading card convention that happens every year. There's a lot of hype around it. Obviously, last year was COVID. This did not occur. So this is the first time it's happening in 2 years. I know the card community is very excited to be back. There's a lot of big players that are in that room today. I have a lot of FOMO for not being there, texting with a lot of friends. And
I'm surprised you're not there. What's going on?
I know. It was a last minute change in plans. Show first, even though I wanted to do it live from the National, but I will commit and make a promise that I'll be there next year.
I thought we'd have you as our underground, underground reporter from the National.
I know. I failed you. I apologize. But some exciting news to come out right before the National started. PWCC, which is one of the largest marketplace for sports cards, sold a Patrick Mahomes logo card with the NFL logo on it for $4.3 million. This is a record price for a football card. I am very, very excited about this sale, particularly because I'm heavily invested into Patrick Mahomes, and I believe he's a mega superstar, and I believe his cards are undervalued or were undervalued. I think after the sale, it's going to skyrocket all his prices and all his cards. But just to give you a quick lesson of why this card is so unique and sold for so much money, there's only one of these cards in the world. It has his signature on it, and it's the patch of the NFL logo from his jersey that's on the card. So the chances and probability of pulling that card out was slim to none. And I believe the packs were $20,000-$30,000 when they were pulled, when they were selling just to have one card. And you could have got Patrick Mahomes card that's worth $4.3 million, or you could have got a punter that's no longer in NFL, and that card is worth about 50 cents. So congratulations to both the buyer and seller. I believe they're both very happy, and congratulations to the industry. And congratulations to all the Mahomes card holders out there. I think everyone has a big smile on their face, including myself. Before we bring on Drew, who's here, let's do one more check-in on the Goat Vault. Yossi, tell our audience, what do they have to do? Subscribe.
It's the easiest competition to win. Subscribe to the Vault, and you stand a chance of winning any of these NFTs, all of these NFTs. We're putting $10,000 into various NFT drops. We'll be building up the Vault until we get to 5,000 subscribers, and then randomly choosing each one of our subscribers to win from the Vault.
Cool. All right. Well, without further ado, we got Drew Austin, who's back with us.
What up, Drew?
What's up, my man?
How we doing?
We are doing well. There has been a lot of stuff going on in the Redbeard Ventures world. You have been a busy man.
Yeah.
How are you sleeping?
It's crazy, man. So, yeah, it's been busy, that's for sure. When was the last time I was on here? It was like your first or second or third show, I guess. So when was that? I'm trying to think of when was the last time I caught you guys up.
We're on show number 8, and I think it was our second show, so 7 weeks ago.
Okay, very cool. So yeah, so in the last set, well, that week might have been the week I sold my company. So I've been that could have been it. I don't remember. And then since then, the company I sold my company to was acquired by a publicly traded company. So now my small little startup is now publicly traded as part of a publicly traded company, which is just wild.
Did you sell for cash or stock?
Stock so far. So we'll see what happens. I'll find out more information in like 6 to 8
Amazing.
weeks.
Well done.
Congrats, man.
Yeah,
Congrats.
Hopefully we'll see what it's. Hopefully we'll get a good result. But yeah, so like then so now I'm full-time venture. So full-time venture, just wandering around the metaverse. Just I feel like I'm lost in a desert, seeing. But yeah, we've been super active. The venture syndicate, Redbeard Ventures, is now going to be almost 12 months old. So we're going. I think August was a year for us. So we're up to about 35 investments right now. So we'll probably finish up the year averaging about 3 investments a month, something to that nature. So it'll be about 36 investments for the year. We've deployed maybe around 15 million in capital, and about 75. Amazing. Yeah, about 75 to 80% of the deals have been blockchain, crypto, metaverse, that kind of stuff. And yeah, I mean, we've been doing a lot of stuff that's been, we're just spending a lot of time looking at DAO tooling. We're doing, we're very active in like literally investing in metaverse plays, some NFT platforms, etc. I could, go into all that stuff, but it's been exciting.
You're deep into the metaverse, into NFTs, and one of the deals that you recently announced, or that recently got announced, was our friends at Zed Run with some big names there, A16Z and TCG and Redbeard Ventures mentioned in it as part of that round. They raised $20 million. And you guys were part of that syndicate. That's some big names. How did you get an allocation? How are you part of that? Tell us the story.
Yeah, so I mean, it's interesting. This was a deal. This was an education. This venture deal, Zed Run, felt like a full education on a full venture capital education built into one deal. We started exploring this deal in March. It closed, what was it, a week ago or so? It closed a week ago. So, that was a long journey. It started with me finding this company and getting enamored with it. I started talking about it early on. They were Australian based, so they were really not well known yet in the US. And I remember like early on, I offered them a term sheet within like a couple weeks of meeting them. It was for a seed round of like a $3 million seed. This was before all of the real momentum hit. And I remember the weekend after I gave them the term sheet, they must have sold about $7 million worth of horses that weekend. And like that was the end of my seed discussions. So I immediately realized that like we're going to need some bigger guns to be able to get this round to the point where they need it. I have a really close relationship with the Chernin team, the Chernin group. We've done deals before, and we talk a lot of they're really big at building out their crypto and their metaverse focus. Showed them Zed Run, which was like pretty much the most obvious fit of a venture firm and a company I've ever seen. Like, they're investors in Barstool Sports. They've been in, sports betting, gaming, casino. Like, they are just big time entertainment, media. It was like the most obvious fit I've ever seen. The whole fund met the team within 3 days, and like within a week, they had a $20 million term sheet on their desk. It got crazy from there. Just people trying to get more into it. There was almost a whole secondary offering, which would have increased the round to about 32 million. So then there was a bunch more investors involved. Then that secondary offering got pulled off the table. So a bunch of investors got wiped. I'm sitting here holding on for dear life. just like, come on, gotta close already. And, luckily, the Chernin guys who ended up leading the deal, Andreessen jumped in. I think they put in a chunk. And, I guess because I brought the deal to Chernin and, kind of was the initial, like, kind of kickstarted the deal. And it was pretty, I've been working very closely with the Zed team as well. They made sure to hold a spot for me, and we got $1 million allocation to the round. And it was it's an exciting company to be a part of.
I know that you syndicated out that round, and by the time I saw the email, it was already out. So it was already gone. I missed out on that because I fastest fingers, and I missed out.
So we oversubscribed. So we had $1 million allocation. And in 4 hours, we raised 3.3 million. So it was like, we have to return 66% of the round to people. So, but I think everyone was more, overall, there was more just gratefulness to just have an opportunity to jump in. But, I think everyone I spoke to wanted to put more into that round than they could.
So what does that mean for Zed? I mean, we're like, obviously we're hot on Zed. I know you're personally hot on Zed. From a perspective of buying horses, now you invest into the company. Totally. Investors are throwing in money. There has been some backlash from Zed. There has been some failed drops and issues. It seems like the last month or so, the issues keep coming. Where do we go from here? How do we make Zed number one in front of Axie? Because I know that's what we're all waiting for.
Yeah, of course. Listen, it's time that like they're a seed stage startup that is operating as a publicly traded company with a like if you really think about the lens, the liquidity, like the tradable market on every news they announce, like they're operating as a publicly traded company as a seed startup, which is almost crazy. They're such a small team. And I think that's where a lot of this capital is going to go to. And I can already tell just from the fundraising announcements alone, they've already been starting to really attract some meaningful talent. And I think that's where the most important thing is. I mean, they got to scale every department within the organization, from engineering and infrastructure, customer support, business development, sales, marketing. I mean, we're just scratching the surface here. And I think that's the number one. I think we're going to see a lot of really exciting sponsorship and partner opportunities upcoming. things like Stella Artois and like some of the other brands that have already gotten involved early, Atari, etc. But I think that there's so much room for creative sponsorships. Like my hunch, and again, this is as a fan, not as an investor. I'd like to see like big sponsors come in and increase the prize pools. If you're putting in $50 to win 500, and then some investor says, "Hey, I'm going to throw in another 2,000." Now you have a $2,500 pool all of a sudden to win a race. You're talking like the value of a racer is going to go through the roof. A good racing horse. So I think that what I'm most excited about is to see racing become profitable, really profitable for great racehorses, and really increase the value of racing. I think everyone's enamored and focused on breeding right now, and understood. We waited a long time for it. It's a low barrier to entry to build up a stable, grow your expand your horses, get new horses into the game. But my thought is, at the end of the day, this is a horse racing game, and the best horses are going to make a lot of money, and that's kind of what I'm excited for.
And is that your strategy in the Zed universe, is to build the best racers? Because I have heard some people say, well, this is actually a breeding game, and they focus on optimizing their breeding, and others saying, no, it's actually a racing game, and others are, no, it's actually a holding game and not doing either. Like, what is your thinking?
Well, it's funny. I have horses that I apply all three of those strategies to. So I have horses that I'd probably say I might be now 50-50, maybe 60-40 of unraced Genesis horses, unbred, unraced. So I'm a big believer in this game is still in its early days. Continues to be fewer and fewer unraced, unbred Genesis horses in the ecosystem. That's a scarce asset. So my theory on that is that there's going to be a continually increasing value on those horses, but it'll never increase to the point of a top tier racer. A top tier racer will always have the premium value because there's two components there. You can breed them for a lot of money, and you can race them for a lot of money. So those are not only assets that will increase in value, but they'll also generate passive income streams. And at the end of the day, I think a lot of people are looking at Zed Run as, how do I develop a passive income stream from my actions and activities in the game? So I think you need to have a breeding strategy, because like my guess is that breeding gets more expensive over time. And I think that to breed right now is a smart idea, to build your stable, acquire more horses, get more swings at that. That's really every new horse you get is another chance to get a great racer. Bred horses, I believe, should all be raced. I don't think there's any value really in holding bred horses and not racing them. So I think that's where my racing strategy really comes in, is that when I breed horses, I race them and try to see if I can find a good racer there. And then I have these good racers that I try to build up to a place where I feel confident. Like I have a Z9 Genesis horse that I've raced about, I'd say 75 times now. And he's got about 20% win rate. So like that's enough now. I think that's enough races to show the skills of the winner. We got a winner. So now I'm at a point where he recently went from class 5 to class 4. He dominated class 5. So when he just got into class 4, I'm almost at the point where I'm saying, what do I need to prove here? Do I even try to race him at class 4? Lower his
explain what that is. What does it mean for our viewers? What is a class 5 and what's a class 4?
Oh, sorry. So class 5 is there's 5 classes of horses. The top tier horses, the best horses in the game, usually find themselves into the class 1, which are the most expensive races and the highest demand. And class 5 is a lower class. But like at the end of the day, if you have a winner, it doesn't matter which class it's in. You want your class 5 horse to stay in class 5 and win, rather than go to class 4 and 3 and lose. There's no.
You want to make money.
There's no benefit. So the best horses in the game truly are the ones that have the U shape. They come in first place or they come in last place. Because if they come in the middle, they end up staying. They get no points. They don't lose points or gain points. And points are how you move from class to class. So if you're in class 4 and you're ending up in 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th place, you're pretty much just staying in class 4. What was great about this horse, Price Discovery, was that he was always coming in either 1st or 11th or 12th, which meant he would gain 4 points and then lose 4 points, which means he stayed in class 5 where he would dominate. And that's like the dream. That's the dream horse for you.
So what numbers wise, give us an example, approximately how much, you got this horse for, and 20% of 75 races. What does that horse make?
I mean, well, it depends.
Ballpark,
Well, of course, it really depends on your strategy. So I haven't bred the horse yet, not once. I'm deciding if I want to breed him or if I want to hold him and sell him or keep him.
Just from racing. Let's use it as an example. How much approximately costs you to buy that horse?
I got a naked.
Whoa! Our first nudity shot. I love it. For all you watching at home,
He just popped in and he was naked on TV.
I love that. That's great.
Yeah. Let me close my door 1 second, guys.
By the way, for everybody watching at home, we apologize and not apologize at the same time.
Do we have to blur that out?
No, we're live. We're live.
We're live.
So anyway, so I think kind of where was I? I was talking about the value of the Z9 horse. So I'm of the nature right now, from a racing winning, like how much profits he's made from a racing perspective. It's nothing crazy. I mean, because again, keep in mind he happens to be a class 5, which you're talking probably $10 races are the normal, are like a pretty high entry fee for him. More, it's $5, $10, that kind of thing. So he's definitely profitable, but it's not like a huge profit. That's not where your value is for a horse like that. The value is a Z9 that I bought on the drop was about $200. I could probably sell him for somewhere around 5,000 now.
Okay, that was my. I want our audience to understand numbers because, like, yeah, I get it. What's a Z9? But if you don't know what that is, you bought that at a drop. Call it approximately $200. Mm-hmm. You're investing money into racing. It's $5 to $10 a race. You're winning 20% of the time, which is really giving the future investors a look into. This is a winning horse that can make you money in both racing and winning. And now there's a monetary component to it.
And if I decide to breed the horse, my guess is that I'd probably be making maybe $1,000 a month on breeding potentially. If I wanted to charge about $250, $300 per breed, breed 3 times, that type of thing. So I'm really I'm still trying to figure that out. As of right now, my thought is to just hold him and allow the value to appreciate for a good 20% win, proven winner horse. And see where that goes, because I'd assume he's gonna continue to increase in value as the demand for good race horses, especially as the prize pools change and things of that nature. So that's why I'm just holding him right now. I haven't bred him because I don't know if I want to even expand the bloodline right now.
So, let's talk.
Go ahead, Yossi.
I want to go into a recent purchase that you made. And you announced, so we're talking about different strategies and acquisitions. You acquired a pretty special Z1 horse, and I think it was in the range of 20 odd or 21 ETH.
21 ETH
is the 21 ETH. You pay the price you paid for that, $50,000 give or take, is the price of this horse. And you tweeted that you think you got it for a steal. Let's talk through which horse, why'd you buy it, why is it a steal? Tell us about it.
So at the time, so I think when we bought it, it was about 40,000 exactly. ETH was under 2,000. So I think we were talking about it when I was looking at it with Alex. It was almost exactly 40K, 21 ETH, and the horse the horse's name is Millions. He's the 3rd minted horse in the game. So number 3 minted horse. Ever minted on Zed Run. This is like the OG horse.
What does that mean? Tell our audience if they're
so every horse has an order or a number was minted. So I think Chase Jackson is the name of the first horse ever minted in Zed Run. Number 2 I think is Wall Street, and then number 3 is Millions. There's now about 40,000 horses that have been made. So as we see, I'm a big low mint guy on NBA Top Shot. I've always been about the low mints. I think there's an element of there's a lot of art collectors that appreciate a low edition number. There's also there's something to be said for this is one of the 3 oldest horses in the game. So when you look at if you filter OpenSea by the field oldest, this will be the 2nd or 3rd horse that comes up, or the 2nd, I think, is depending on where you buy now. But yeah, the 3rd horse that comes up. So the fact that we got this for 21 ETH, and I actually just saw a normal Z1 go for 20 or 21 ETH yesterday, to me is where I'm thinking to myself, I mean, it was $4,000 difference between a Z1 at the drop, 36K, or what we paid 40K at the purchase point. And I was just, It's a 22% win rate. Rare, I think it was a rare coat. I'm not 100% sure. I have to get back to that. But the coat color was less than 1%. No, it was just it to me was an absolute no-brainer. And then again, like, listen, the guy who raced it, who sold the horse, he bought this horse was one of the first days in there, never touched it, came into the game like a week ago, raced it a few times, got a bunch of wins, put it up for 20 ETH and made $40,000. So he was thrilled too.
Everyone's happy.
Everyone was happy in the deal. I split it with Alex Taub for our shared stable. This is our third horse that is like under a 50 mint. So like one of the first 50 horses, and we're over 100,000, 200,000 horses. And this is one of the OG Godfather Hall of Fame horses. I think that's a really cool thing to have.
Can I make an offer for the horse right now live on the show?
You can make an offer.
Are you gonna sell it?
Let me just. His name is Millions, so
come on. I was gonna offer you 50 grand right here.
Yeah, no. There was
Yossi wants to buy it.
We got offers. We got offers literally right after we bought it. There was like 3 people that were saying to us. I got DMs right after saying I was literally about to buy that horse. So we knew we got something good. The plan right now is we're never going to race it again. We're not going to breed it again. We're going to hang him up in rafters and put him in a museum so people can look at the third horse ever minted. That's really it. Like there's nothing. He's got nothing to prove. Like he doesn't need to be the best racer to have a brand and a reputation in this ecosystem. Maybe in the future, but that's about it.
Let's dissect a few things that you said there, because I think there's a lot of interesting points that you made. So the way you looked at this horse and the way you're looking at the Zed ecosystem, you think there's going to be a couple of 100,000 horses eventually with all the breeding that's happening and as new players come on. The narrative that you are buying into here that you think will become more and more valuable is the first, let's call it the first 50, first 100 horses are going to have that OG status, that legacy status, specifically within the Z1 world, which is those Genesis, Nakamoto drops and horses. Mm-hmm. This is Millions. It's already got a reputation. It's the third horse. It's got a 20% win rate. And you're already taking, you're saying this thing doesn't need a race anymore. Maybe we'll breed it, but this is just going to be an iconic horse within the Zed Run world. And over time, if the game works out, if the universe of Zed continues to expand, this will become when it expands, this will be the GOAT.
Yeah, and I exactly. And I think that this is, it'll be. I think that Alex and I are the kind of people that would probably hold this till it's a 7-figure offer, and try to make this one of the first $1 million horses. So there's just no reason. Like listen, Chase Jackson, the first horse in the game, is already listed for about $1 million. So it's going to be very hard to get some of those. I tried to buy Wall Street. The best I could do was breed them, but I couldn't get them, and I offered $100 grand, and that was not even enough. So,
what do you think that horse would be worth more money if it was unraced? Because you're putting him up in the rafters.
I would have this guy didn't know anything about the game. He didn't know idea what he even had. He didn't even know what a third mint was. He just bought a horse for $50 or $100. Whoever knows who knows how much it was when it first launched the game 3 years ago. And he opened up his app one day. This was he just raced it for the first time 2 weeks ago, which was crazy to me. And then he won a few races and was all right, cool, I'm going to sell it now. That was it.
How did you spot it?
So it was actually funny. My buddy Narendra, he runs a website called zedranks.com. And it's where people go to value their horses or value their stable. And he is him and his partner are constantly analyzing data, always analyzing data. And they text me and Alex such fascinating insights every day. Really interesting insights. I don't know what I can and cannot share, but just really cool data points about the scarcity of winning horses and the differences between Z1s and Z2s and just fascinating metrics. And so whenever a good horse deal comes up, he also lets us know. And there was a couple days before that, there was a Z1 that was being sold for $25,000, which was 10,000 under the market drop last time. That got scooped up before we even got the chance to really to really consider it. And then when he showed us this horse, I'm a low mint guy, Alex is a low mint guy. We didn't really debate it for very long. We're should we do this? He's yes. I'm yes. We're okay, good, let's do this. And that was pretty much the story.
Amazing.
I love it.
Yeah.
So when do you think, and maybe when is the next drop? or what is the street saying about the next drop?
I don't even know. I think they're really focused on sponsorships right now. Like, as you see, that they've been doing, there's been a lot of partners and sponsors that have been coming out recently, and that's been a lot of what their premium drops are. You have to keep in mind, there's not many Z1 through 4s left. There are very few. I don't know if anyone has the numbers offhand, but it's usually in their Discord.
I think it's the whole drop is less than 30% left, right? So, and then
but most of those are Z10, Z9.
Right.
Like, if we're talking about